Hi, I'm Joe. I'm a calisthenics coach from Manchester. I primarily coach skills, is what I call it. So I've got two camps, skills and aesthetics. For skills, we're looking at hand balancing, calisthenics, and mobility training. And for aesthetics, it's your more traditional, so your muscle building and/or fat loss. I work with people, a majority of my clients are online, actually. So I work with people outside the confines of Manchester. But also I do face-to-face with people that are near enough to do so, or don't mind traveling. And I've got a few classes a week as well, so I do group and one-to-one. So my journey into calisthenics, I'll take it back to my first career. I used to be a radio producer. That's what I trained as in university. Had a wonderful time doing it, but then as life moves on, I wanted a new challenge. So I sort of transitioned from radio to social media, at which time I don't know if you've heard of Stephen Bartlett. I worked for his company called Social Chain. And as part of that, I was introduced to yoga. So as my New Year's resolution in 2018, that was my first junction of exercise in my life. Before that, I'd not really done anything at all. Very quickly, I enjoyed it, became hyperfixated on it. But I was like, there's things in this room that I'm seeing that I want. And I don't know how to get there because you've got 10 seconds to try it, then you're in a down dog. So at the time in Manchester, there was a gym nearby opening up. And because I was already, I already had a little bit of a followership on my personal social media, they asked me, did I want to be an ambassador for that gym? To which I jumped at the chance and they offered calisthenics. Because to me, the two go hand in hand. I always think of calisthenics as the much more methodical cousin of yoga. It's the same currency, right? It's body movements and mechanics. But with the principles of strength and conditioning, so sets and reps and progressive overload. So that was where I began my own personal journey. And then when we got to lockdown 2, I remember being on a call in the media world and I was like, oh, I must get out, I must do something else now. I retrained as a PT during that time, and I mainly did that because I wanted to know how to program for myself. That was the primary objective of that. But then I just fell so in love with it that I've literally never looked back. Not in a traditional, like in the ways that calisthenics is, those types of competitions. I do more hand balancing events. But again, that's just like expos rather than competitions. I could do a lot of international work with that as well. So for me, a typical training week, I'll tell you what it looks like now. I've recently just done a high rocks because it really did change my life getting into calisthenics, because not only did I connect to my body in a way that I've never known before, I got a thirst for wanting to understand more. And cardio is not something that I would ever go near. So I wanted something that was going to challenge me, and that seemed accessible, so I did it. What that's taught me is the benefits of cardio. So I do make sure that I get a weekly sweat in some capacity. I'm more likely to do it if it's in a class. I think it's a good group environment, a class, it's good energy. So I'll do that as a non-negotiable. Definitely get a yoga class in as a nice bit of mostly passive, but exposure to flexibility and end range of motion. And then I have at least 3 resistance sessions per week. And I base those resistance sessions around the skills that I'm gunning for in calisthenics. So whilst it might look a little bit more traditional, there's always an objective for me. So for example, if I'm wanted, let's pick chest press. I'm gonna make sure that I angle myself so that I can drop my arms back and get that hyper range through the chest. So I'm always looking at things through a calisthenics and a mobility lens, even if it seems on the more standard side of things. Just depends what goals I've got for that year. A day in the life. This is another product of COVID. So I've got a couple of things to thank it for. When I get up, nobody is getting the best hour of my day, i.e. the first one, apart from me. So I'm going to get up and make peace with the world before I'm anyone's coach or anyone's dog dad or anyone's landlord. What that looks like is different. When it's spring, I'll sit outside with a brew, but I get up at 5, so it'll have to be warm if I'm doing that. And then I'll do morning check-ins with international/online clients, the WhatsApp rounds, and then I start training people face to face, 2 or 3 a day, from mid-morning up until lunchtime. Then I need half an hour to look at a blank wall, to get in a different headspace, because then I do at lunchtime 3 days a week. That's when I do my class, and it's a different brain. It's a little bit more performative because I'm running an adult crash. There's a lot of people upside down, so I need to make sure that everyone's safe, and I'm bringing the energy and making it not only safe but enjoyable for people. Then in the afternoon, I come home and do some business development work. So always looking at ways that I can make social content is a big one, obviously, in our world, we know that. And I enjoy that from like my past careers. So there's more time being carved for that this year, but also looking at ways that I can better serve clients. What are the ways that I can leverage technology to get further reach, improve the service? And then when I finish being a coach, I'm just trying to get better at this, to be honest with you, but I want to be done by 4 p.m. because that's an 11-hour day of work. I must train myself before I sit down. And then I'll usually just melt in the evening. Got dogs to walk, got telly to watch. Or I like, in Manchester City Centre, there's a few of these, but my preferred sauna, ice bath venue of choice it's called Contrast with a K. I like it because it's laid back and it's like self-directed. Yeah, they're really cool. They're really cool, those guys. Food-wise, it's not lost on me the art of being a nutritionist. And because I'm busy, it's just non-negotiable because I've got goals and I've not got a lot of time. I'm quite time poor at times. So I get 2 meals a day that are prepared and delivered, like with bi-weekly drops from the nutritionist MCR. And I've been with them 5 years, and it's the easiest yes of my life. I love what they do. And then I'll melt in bed at 9 p.m. and repeat the next day. So I mentioned earlier, I am definitely a skills-centric practitioner. I'll pick some goals that I've got for the year, and I will build regimes around that and train myself in the way that I would train another client. With the progressive overload block, deload, rinse and repeat. So what I'll always make sure, non-negotiably, I will do some passive / dynamic warm up in the form of like flexibility. I want to make sure that I'm nice and supple, but I'm not overworked. And then condition for the core and the shoulders. As you know, doesn't matter what you're doing in Cali, they will never be switched off. So I'll do some specific work. Then at the top end of my sessions, that's when I get a couple, maybe 3, maximum 4 exercises, movement patterns that are a nod to skill. They're skill based. So it's not going to be your big rep range or your max holds. Might do one isometric hold. Then in the second half of my session, that's when I'm possibly a little bit more fatigued. That's when I'll drive for the brute force strength. So I've got the intricate fine motor movement work at the top half of the session when I've got my wits, I'm activated, got my wits about me. I don't want to reach failure upside down, so I'll do it then. Then I move on to brute force strength. And as I think you mentioned, being a calisthenics practitioner, we're trying to do a million things. So I will try and either invent or pick some multi-objective movement patterns that are going to tick off a few things, because no one can be not even as a coach, can I be in the gym for the amount of time that I would like to. For many reasons, rest, but also being an adult. So I'll pick some active mobility drills that are going to deepen my range of motion and strength through length. So for example, at the minute I'm working on split to handstand press. So being on the floor and then just rising up to a handstand. Because of that, I need my hamstrings to be very strong at full length. So I've been doing Jefferson curls with the Zercher variation. So you get the barbell and the crook of your elbow. It's brilliant. I love it. And then if I'm feeling really sadistic that day, I will get, like a squat wedge. I'll have my heels on the floor, toes up. So I'm stretching right down the lower half of the body. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's there's about 4 things I'm ticking off at once. That's one thing that I definitely think that I do well. I like being inventive and making things up. In terms of recovery, I've mentioned earlier, the sauna and ice bath, whilst, in the first instance, obviously fresh blood supply will help with recovery, the sleep that I get every time that I do that, I'm in the next dimension. So yeah, that's a must. And then hydrate, electrolytes, all that good stuff. This is a very specific one because I didn't connect the dots for years when I was doing calisthenics, and I was trying to just commit to memory, right, this position or this move needs this shoulder position. when actually I was teaching a class, and someone said to me, "Oh, it's just kind of like you just need to do the opposite of gravity." I was like, "Can I stop you there? What did you just say?" And I thought about it, and they're absolutely right. So it doesn't matter what position or orientation that your body's in. If I'm in a handstand, I want to push the floor away with my shoulder elevation. If I'm in a front support or press up position, I want to protract. If I'm doing my front lever work or I'm hanging on rings, facing the sky, I want to retract. If I'm on dip bars, I want to depress. So in all of those instances, I'm just trying to oppose gravity. And I wish someone had said that to me at the beginning, because I spent 3 years I used to make notes and all sorts, Nicola. The 3 non-negotiable habits for me, I would say, are passive stretching outside of sessions. People ask me what's the biggest difference I can make to my mobility profile. And I'm like, you can do all of the graph that you want within that hour and a half that you're in the gym. There are possible 22, 23 other hours in the day when you're not in that inflamed environment and when your muscles are not under load or under stress. You best believe I'm stretching my hamstrings when I'm watching telly at night. Fact. Because exposure to it, use it or you lose it, your nervous system will just down-regulate and it will realise, that's not actually stressful and I'm not going to get injured if I keep doing that. So that has made a big difference in mine and clients' world. Deload, because even as a coach, I used to think, I don't need to do that, I'm in my 20s. You're leaving gains on the table. You can't possibly think that you can just keep going and going and going without a plateau. In my personal and professional experience, I find that a 12-week block works best for me. Some people may differ, but you can start to see progressive overload from 6. Keep grinding, working towards your PBs in week 11, 12, then just either full rest week if you can make peace with that, or if you must move your body, bring the load down to 50%, and then you're ready and primed to reformulate for yourself. And then the third one that I would say, if you are serious about getting good at calisthenics, or to be honest with you, anything, get used to the idea of it, get comfortable with filming yourself. Because whether you've got a coach or not, if you film your exercise, you have a direct progress record where you can tangibly see yourself getting better, even if you can't see the wood for the trees, but you will learn very quickly how to be your own feedback loop. You're going to not only be able to dissect and look at things, it's going to build your knowledge base and your comprehension of what you're being asked to do so much better. And you also get those golden moments on camera, and you organically send it and you get a skill that you didn't think you were going to, you'd miss that otherwise. Top 3 tips if you want to get started in calisthenics from my perspective. If you already possess standard traditional gym training knowledge, look at calisthenics through that lens. You train your muscles in complementary groups. When you start in calisthenics, that's going to be a good principle to work off of. So your pull-based movements, your back and your bicep, anything that's row-based or you can use your rings for. Your push-based ones, your shoulders, your chest, your triceps, so on and so forth. Don't neglect your lower body as part of that. If and when you then get more proficient, you might then want to do a bent arm, straight arm split. That's another common one. This is all starter tip number 1. That's kind of like 2 parts. My second tip would be some skills that you want from Instagram are going to take time. If you want my advice, I would give it a search, pick some skills that are easy wins. So set your long-term goal of handstand straddle press or muscle up. It's not going to happen in 10 minutes. You're going to become disenchanted when you don't get it in 2 weeks. So if you set that as the mid to long-term goal, and maybe work on 2 short-term skills alongside that, you're going to have a path towards the thing that you actually want, and you're going to not have stolen your joy along the whole way, because it can be thankless at times. My other top tip for getting started, don't neglect your strength work. Train some skill work first, do a couple of movement patterns working towards the thing that you want, but then make sure you supplement that with the supporting sets and reps of possibly traditional strength movement patterns that are going to facilitate you to grow stronger. Skill, then strength, because you don't want to fail muscularly when you're upside down. So my 3 most underrated calisthenics exercises, not even that they're underrated, but they deserve the flowers that they get if people already do them. Skin the cat. I actually Googled this. Do you know why it's called skin the cat? It's because there's more than one way to skin a cat. and there's obviously a million different variations of doing it. So had a bit of fun when they were naming that one. Essentially, your shoulder is a ball and socket joint. Train it as so. I want you to be strong in every single direction. With it, you're getting rotation of the shoulder and circumduction, and it's going to improve your posture as well. Bam, 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 objectives are hit with that one. Bent arms and bent legs, then do straight arms and bent legs, then do straight arms and straight legs. You're welcome. Exercise number 2, pseudo planche push-ups. It's going to teach you very quickly list of things that you're going to get. You're going to get straight arm strength. You're going to get bent arm strength. Tick, tick. You're going to get the shoulders being loaded. The anterior deltoids are our Bible. And when in calisthenics or hand balancing, we're asking these bad boys to do the job of your glutes. Think about the size difference. We need to condition these from day dot. You're also going to get exposure to deep wrist flexion. There's just so many things that are good about it. What else can I say about it? You're getting your hollow body, you're getting hip extension, you're getting glute engagement. Like, it's a whole body endeavor. With this one, I've seen some people do it with the knees on the floor, and to me personally, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing to do. It's just a bit awkward, it's a bit cumbersome, and you end up with that rib flare that I don't want to see as a coach. So I would say go to a squat rack, set up the safety handles at about knee height, and suspend a resistance band across it. You can then set yourself up in your push-up position so that band's on your hips. Then you can work with the full posture with less than full body weight load. There's your top tip. God, I should invoice this lot. And then my third underrated exercise, this is the one that when I'm teaching a class, I mean, it gives me life, but everybody rolls their eyes at me. I want people sat on the floor in a straddle position, legs wide, toes pointed, knees locked. And I want seated leg raises. If you're new to it, you can do linear, just go up and down with the legs. And you can do one leg at a time by placing the hands on the floor. Level 2, I want both legs together. Level 3, which is what I actually want, I want you doing football-sized circles, inwards and outwards. You're getting multi-directional hip flexor strength and your glute med activated. You're getting full lock at the knee, you're getting exposure to hamstring stretch. It's a lower body must for me. It gives you that fine motor movement that I see missing a lot in the calisthenics scene sometimes. And if I'm looking at overrated, I'll phrase it this way. One thing I don't love seeing is kipping, because kipping's got a place, it's useful, but it's probably more aligned with a CrossFit style of training. I don't want to be razzing people's joint capsules. So by all means, use kipping, make whatever skill you've gone in for, make it exist, then make it pretty. Do the work to develop that strict strength and stop kipping in my class. It's not a myth, but the thing that I hear the most when I'm talking to people is, I want to start calisthenics, but I'm not flexible. I would argue that is the exact room that you need to be in. You can train mobility in the same way that you train for muscle size. The idea of progressive overload is that if you continually just shift the goalposts a little bit with consistency, your body will adapt to whatever it is you are asking it to do in a training setting. So if we look at calisthenics, you can achieve muscle gain, but also gaining range of motion and control. So I don't accept that. And then a part 2 to that, I would say that if you are someone that wants to improve your mobility and you've not considered calisthenics a way to do that, let me pose it this way as a mobility specialist. Mobility training is horrible. You are by definition working in positions that will make you uncomfortable. If you are just mindlessly doing sets and reps, I would be shocked if you weren't hating it. If you tether those mobility goals to skills, i.e. calisthenics and movement patterns, you will tangibly see yourself getting better, and it's not a thankless task. And it's also fun along the way. For 2026, on the roster for me, I've got a couple, well, they're all upside down goals actually. As I think you might have been able to tell, I love hand balancing and that component of calisthenics. It's just such a big topic. So for my straight arm skill that I'm gunning for, it's a handstand flag. I want to be able to do a handstand flag where I'm on the gravity P-bars, and I want my foot to go down lower. So it's a deep side flexion in a straddle position, and it can look really beautiful, I think. So that's one thing that I'm gunning to deepen. For my bent arm skill, I'm looking for nose to floor parallel bar handstand push-ups. So all the way down on the gravity mid P-bars again. Nose boots the floor all the way back up to a handstand. There's a little bit of a gap in the kinetic chain for me at the minute, so yeah, I'll be having that this year. I want to regain access to straddle planche because I'm deconditioned for it after high rocks, but that's in the locker. And in my world, the long-term goal that I'm looking for, which takes a couple of years, is one-arm handstand. Business goals, this might sound mad, but I'm lessening the number of clients that I see so I can provide a deeper service for every person that I work with. It's really important to me to always be developing like mentally as well as physically with my business and my personal life. So that's something that's getting a lot of focus this year. As well as that, in this age of AI, it is increasingly important to me to be on the right side of it and to understand that in 10 years it will do a very good job of programming. So I'm actually flipping the scripts and I'm working really hard to build community. So I've launched an upside down club in Manchester. So we meet up every two weeks on a Saturday, 10 a.m. in the gym that I work at, which is called Phase 5. It's just opened in Ancoats. It's a really cool space. Olympic lifting, calisthenics and high rocks. It's perfect. So yeah, Upside Down Club. We meet there every 2 weeks. It's like a supervised session. So whilst I'm not coaching, it's people that love the same thing. It can be anything calisthenics related, and then we all go for coffee. So I want to build an even bigger community of calisthenics in Manchester.